After years in development, Mike Clum's documentary about EDP445 is finally coming out. I've seen it. It's incredibly weird, over the top, offensive at times, and is somehow even wilder than the Boogie Doc. And alongside, creators that would make sense to be in it, like Moist Critical and Keem, I'm in it. And you might be wondering why some weird washed up YouTube journalist is in a documentary about one of the most prolific pests on the internet. And actually, it's a long but interesting story that I thought would make for a really good YouTube video. While I was at Business Insider, I wrote the main article about the EDP story. I interviewed everyone involved, and my article still appears constantly online. So now that Mike Clum's documentary is finally coming out, I thought I should kind of tell my story of how I got involved with the EDP story. Kind of like my videos on Chris Chan and Connor Murphy, which you should both totally watch. They're really interesting, if I do say so myself. I think this is an interesting story, so I thought I'd just kind of turn the camera on and just kind of rant for a bit and see what we get. So we have to go back to April 2021, when I was scrolling YouTube and I randomly come across a video on a channel called Chet Goldstein. Never heard of it before that. And the video claims to have caught a large YouTuber in a predator sting. So it immediately caught my attention. In the video, there are two predator hunters, Alex Rosen and CC Unit, who approach EDP445, who is a Facebook content creator and Philadelphia Eagles superfan who had sort of gone viral for just being brash and kind of weird.
28 to fucking 7, motherfucker!
I didn't really get his content when I looked at it afterwards, but it's clear EDP had an audience. So Alex and CC walk up to EDP and basically confront him.
We have you talking to Sophie, correct? Yes or no?
Right.
Okay. Sophie is how old? Before, and again, I have it right here. I know the answer, but I just need you to tell me the answer. How old is she?
13.
13, okay.
They had a woman pretending to be a 13-year-old message EDP, and EDP almost immediately started sending sexual messages.
Like if the cops saw these messages and saw you here, would they have arrested you? Yes or no?
Correct.
Okay. So look, see.
Do you think you deserve to go to jail? Because you admitted this is not your first time. This is up to like 6th time.
Right.
This is your 5th or 6th time.
Do I deserve to go to jail? If I'm being honest with you.
You don't think so?
I think so.
You think so?
I think so.
And the messages that he is sharing to this decoy are just absolutely grotesque. They make your skin crawl just kind of thinking about it. So Alex and CC are showing him these messages, printing them out, and EDP is just sort of making a joke about the situation. He's saying he came there for cupcakes.
Honestly, this is real and you guys can't believe this if you guys want to or not. She said that she was going to bake me a cupcake. I was going to take the cupcake and go home.
Because that was one of the jokes in the conversation that they were having. It was just like, again, all kind of uncomfortable. It ends with the predator hunters saying that they had contacted the local police department, but EDP had kind of gotten away.
Cops right now. It's a sting operation. They're on the phone. They're saying it's a sting operation. What should I do? Just send somebody over here. It's go home. ALEXR.
All right, he's gonna go home. He just said he's gonna go home.
So I see that and I'm like, oh, this is a perfect story. It sort of matches in the same sort of weird internet vibe of stories that I love to cover. So I start digging in almost immediately. So first I find out where the sting took place, which was in Bakersfield, California, and the jurisdiction which falls under the Sheriff's Department of Kern County. I reached out to the Kern County Sheriff's Department, who would neither confirm nor deny that a call was made into their police station about this, and that they couldn't really comment on the state of the investigation. So I got a little bit from that, but not really enough. So I had to kind of keep digging. I reached out to EDP, who obviously did not respond to me, but both CC Unit and Alex did. Now, my CC Unit conversation, CC Unit clearly cares a lot about predator hunting. It's something he thinks is really important and he sort of poured his life into. And I've spoken to him a few times over the years for other stories. He just seems to really care. And, I totally get it.
Comic book. We've seen everything. I mean, I wasn't shocked the way he reacted, but, he had no other choice because he had to the chat logs printed out and everything. He couldn't deny it. He had the proof right there.
Alex, on the other hand, is a bit more of a controversy burger. So Alex is 21 when all of this EDP stuff is happening. He had just started getting into predator hunting a couple years earlier.
I've always wanted to be a police officer. That's been my dream job for the longest. And, I started getting into these pedophile videos, like, the Chris Hansons, the anxiety war, just crapping on YouTube. Like, I was browsing, like, all night, because, I was finally taking my time to relax. And I was like, wow, this looks very interesting to do. And, obviously I couldn't go be a cop yet. I was 19. I was like, well, I'm gonna try this myself. It seems like a very very interesting thing to do, and it's a great cause too. So that first night, I just go on to Grindr, which is the gay dating app. I just say I'm 15 years old, and within literally 30 minutes, somebody messages me wanting to meet up for sex, and it didn't take me long to realize that this was the biggest unspoken about problem in the whole wide world, not just this country. And ever since then, it's really been a passion of mine.
Alex had quite a controversial digital footprint. It didn't take very long to find. With his predator stings, I felt he was kind of messing with his subjects. Like, there is no one worse in the eyes of most people than a predator. They are just the lowest of the low. So you can kind of get away with doing things to them you normally wouldn't do with anyone else. So in one of his videos, he has one of his catchees put on an I lick ass shirt and kind of walk around. It just all seemed kind of performative and odd. And then there was also quite a lot of racially motivated / anti-Semitic / racially insensitive content that Alex was producing.
Hell yeah. Now the question is, would you sniff a 5-year-old's pussy in order to get rid of racism? And the answer is, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Why the hell not? You know what I'm saying? Especially if that 5-year-old bitch is white, Because what are white bitches good for besides fucking up our kings' NFL careers? You know what I'm saying? Because what? In what? In 20 years, that same 5-year-old white bitch finna accuse an NFL player of rape, bro. That's one of our kings and shit. So why the fuck does it matter what happens to her? Know what I'm saying and shit?
I asked him about all of these, and thankfully, I still have that interview.
My comment on that? I mean, I said it 2 years ago. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to deny that I said it, and that's just how me and my friends, who are overwhelmingly minority, that's how we joked around, man. So, it obviously looks bad, but obviously I have no hatred in my heart towards any group of people. I judge people based on their how they are as individuals, don't group people into races. So
I wanted to include these clips because in hindsight, this conversation gets even more interesting. Alex hit the mainstream news in a very odd way when he offered to spend $10,000 of his own money to bail out Chud the Builder, who is currently in jail after being charged with murder.
So I'm hoping to bond him out. I myself am a free speech absolutist, and I just don't think he should be in jail right now.
I end up writing a Business Insider article about it, and it blows up fairly quickly. People seem to be really interested in it. I remember my editor being kind of confused, like he is with most of these stories I've mentioned already, but understanding that people seem to care. But in that article, I did not mention any of Alex's racial content, any of his really edgiest stuff. I just didn't feel it was necessary for what I was doing in that article. But I ended up getting a lot of messages about it saying, hey, if you're talking about this guy, you really should look into his other content. And I go, okay, if I do a follow-up, I'm going to make sure to include that stuff. Alex himself seemed to like the first article. He shared it on his Instagram story. That seemed to go okay. So I needed to find a second article. And when both Alex and EDP channels were banned on YouTube, I knew that was the perfect opportunity. So I wrote that article, and I included all of the racial stuff, and I included all of the, controversies in that. And I don't know how Alex felt about that one. He hasn't really talked to me since. But, I think it's all just kind of part of the game, I guess. The predator hunting game is just being as edgy as possible. Like, this was not my first time being introduced to predator hunters. A year prior, I had worked on a story at Newsweek about a sting that Chris Hansen was doing, with that story eventually turning into a docuseries about Onision that is a whole can of worms that I don't want to get into here. I want that to be its own separate video. Just for the case here, know that I do not like Chris Hansen. I have personal beef with the guy. I think he's incompetent, and I think he's bad at what he does. It's just, I think predator hunting in general is very controversial. I think, again, as I've mentioned, predators are considered the lowest of the low. They're the people you can trash on and get away with. You can kind of do whatever you want because predators are subhuman. And I believe that predators should be treated poorly. Like, if you abuse anyone, let alone children, you deserve to be held in a tiny little cell with no windows, you know? We should not tolerate a society for predators. But I also believe that there should be some form of due process. There shouldn't just be a bunch of creators walking around taking the law into their own hands and seeing that, you know, this is bad, so I need to take advantage of it. But I also understand that the legal system itself is very faulty. I have interviewed dozens of victims over the course of my decade as a journalist who have felt entirely powerless by the system that has kind of been put in place, and there's nothing they can really do. So they just kind of, you know, struggle and don't really know. So they have to approach journalists, or I guess even predator hunters, to kind of solve these issues for them. But like, predator hunters have gotten in trouble, you know. Vitali and Gideon, they're kind of the poster boys for predator hunting controversy. You can't just really take it into their own hands. And also the fact that EDP is free right now is partially because of these predator stings not actually, you know, coming to fruition for anything, let alone it was either the Alex Rosen CC Unit one or the Skeeter Gene Gideon one. Neither of them got EDP arrested. He's still out there. And, you know, I think that's a flaws in all of these systems. But again, I, you know, think it's all kind of bad. But, you know, how do I end up in the Mike Clum documentary? So Mike and I started talking around the time that he released his Boogie Doc, where I was like, this would be a good article. And I never end up really publishing the article because I think I couldn't really get Boogie to talk, or something happened. So we kept in touch over the years, and he told me he was working on an EDP documentary. And I was like, oh yeah, I wrote an article about him like a few years ago for Business Insider. And he goes, wait, you were the one who wrote that article? That article is in my movie. We should talk. So we keep in contact again, and he and I agree to set up an interview. So I go out to New Jersey, sit in basically a business office, and we talk for a bit. And, you know, we do an interview. I've done a bunch of talking head interviews. They're fun. You know, it's an experience. I hadn't really thought about the EDP story since then, but, you know, it was a fun opportunity. So a few months after, Mike reaches out to me and he's like, hey, can we do another interview? I just want to do a few audio line pickups. I'll pay you. I'll, you know, pay for your Uber out. Don't worry about it. And I was like, okay, fine. I usually don't get paid for doing talking head stuff, but that works for me. I didn't find out till about last week that the reason he set up that second interview was because he screwed up the audio on the first one and didn't have anything that I could use. Basically, he had placed his camera on top of his audio setup, so he couldn't really figure out which microphone was going into, so I just sounded terrible. In total, he said he spent about $3,500 just on my shoot. I know that Mike has money. I will not disclose where he gets it, but I just found that really interesting. And now the EDP documentary is finally coming out. I'm really excited to see what the world kind of thinks about it. I think it's very extreme. It's not really something that I would make, but it is absolutely fascinating to watch. And I hope you kind of enjoyed me just like talking about this stuff. I enjoy making these videos, talking about my time doing internet culture. And if you could, I'd love if you could like the video, if you could subscribe to the channel. And I recently launched a membership subscription on YouTube where I will be doing weekly newsletters about my reporting. I'm gonna be sharing a bit more about my EDP reporting in that. And I'd really love if you could kind of, you know, give that a shot. But if not, totally cool. I'm really just happy you stuck around for this long, and thanks for watching. This has been Stephen A. Sarge Talks.